Why is it that patients in a hospital heal better and with less pain when their window looks out over a green space? Why is it that our heart rates go up when we're shown a picture of a busy city street, but it goes down when we're shown a picture of a grove of trees? Biophilia is the answer, or love of nature. The notion that at our very essence, we are so inextricably connected with the natural world that sustains us, we can't truly thrive as a species or as individuals without it. And is it possible for such an evolutionary relationship established over tens of thousands of years with our fellow species to be abruptly disconnected? Hardwiring switched off, so to speak, in the digital age. Bit of a lofty concept, I confess, so why don't we start off with something a little bit more familiar? Our own stories. I'll go first, because I'm up on stage. I brought some pictures along. This one is of me. Here I am playing in the woods behind our house in eastern Indiana. You see me there down in the creek, knee-deep? My curious hands chasing after quick crawdads. There I am in that same creek, dooming my Star Wars figures to a horrible fate in homemade boats. To your average passerby of these woods, nothing awe-inspiring. But to a young child of 8, somewhat serious, a little bit too serious, they're everything that I knew. And in hindsight, everything that I ever could need. Because those humble acres offered me trail upon trail of self-discovery, moment upon moment of independence and confidence building. Nameless as that stream remains to me today, it gave me many, many gifts. All right, it's your turn. Here's a picture of you. Don't worry, I'll get this back to the NSA after tonight's presentation. You might have to close your eyes to help this memory come into focus. But like my photo, it's a moment in your youth when you were outside. You might have been in your backyard or a local park, a farm field, a national forest or national park. You might have been overturning a log to see what crawls up. You might have been climbing a tree. You might have been throwing rocks at a water's edge to see those widening circles. Pick a moment, pick a time when you felt inextricably connected with the natural world. What were you feeling? What were you thinking about? What were you learning about your world and your place in it? Don't let that memory fade. Let's contrast it with this next photo. A starkly different image of what I call the inside child. And the inside child could be a boy or a girl. And they could live in the inner city or suburbia or even rural America. Somewhere between the ages of 4 and 14, the inside child sits in front of that screen or a computer or a smartphone or a video game on the average of 9 hours a day. The child in front of that screen by the 3rd grade has a 25% chance of being obese, 2 to 3 times that if a child of color. The child in front of that screen is increasingly likely to develop ADD and asthma, high blood pressure. The child in front of that screen is having their imagination scripted for them, dictated by others who are often interested in selling them something. And as a result, they know dozens upon dozens of brand names, but they don't know where their food or water comes from. What are we talking about here? Richard Louv, author and child advocate, coined the term nature deficit disorder. He used it to define the concept of the damages that we as individuals, as families, as communities feel when we're alienated from our natural world. How could we get to such a place, and what could cause it? First, our built environment. In an increasingly urbanized society, we've stripped clean, pulled nature out of our built spaces, be it our communities, our neighborhoods, even our play spaces, are sanitized, free of the confidence-building risks that nature provides. Secondly, our lifestyles. In an era when we're increasingly afraid of nature, afraid of unsupervised play, we thrust our children into more rigorous, regimented calendars of school and sports and lessons and play dates and shopping and entertainment. Fine by themselves, but together give very little room for unconstrained imaginative play. And finally, perhaps most obviously, the lure of our screen. Chasing after technology, the latest gadget, the latest app with such fervor, as we salivate to respond to the bleeps and blips that call us back to our texts, our emails, our posts, with such immediate gratification. So if these are the social forces that are creating a deficit of nature, a social sickness, so to speak, then the cure, the remedy, is quite evident, right? Get more nature. And could it really be that easy? I think so. But don't take it from me. Don't even take it from your own intuition or experiences. Because there are hundreds of studies from around the globe that collectively say two very, very simple things. Nature makes us healthier. Nature makes us happier. But in what ways? Let's start with our children. Physically, children who regularly spend time in nature, they are physically more fit, they're leaner, they're 40% less likely to be obese. Out there, they have stronger immune systems, lower blood pressures. Out there, they receive a potent therapy for ADD and depression. Studies show even more than medication. Cognitively, children who regularly spend time in nature have dramatically improved test scores and grade point averages. Out there, they're building skills in problem solving and decision making, confidence building. One study shows, very specifically, a bacteria in dirt helps mice better navigate mazes. Gives mud pies a whole new respect. And don't you feel smarter coming in from the garden? Socially, children who regularly spend time in nature, they're less aggressive, they're less stressed, and they're more emotionally connected. As a father of 3 young girls, presented with all this data, and yet I still struggle to provide them the very thing that I know will help them prosper. So this is not about pointing fingers. It's about parting a curtain to reveal what might be possible. And what might be possible is a community envisioned by all of us where we all benefit, but especially our youth, and we're transformed by our outdoor experiences. But to do so, we must reimagine some things. We must be reincorporating nature back into our spaces that we live, our neighborhoods, our parks, our schools. And we must reimagine how we strike that delicate balance between the riches of technology and the gifts of nature. Before we even do that, we might need to be able to just reimagine what one transformed child looks like. A child that is not seeking a high score in a violent video game. One that is not mesmerized by commercials. One that is not texting mindlessly or maliciously. Maybe these are some of those children. These children are unplugged. And while momentarily disconnected from a virtual web, they are plugged back into a much bigger, much more authentic world. And in their exploration of that world, they might just be creating childhood memories that they can look back on fondly someday at a future TEDx event and say, that meant something to me. They might just be establishing a sense of place, a sense of community, and a sense of wonder. So, as I look ahead to my daughter's future, hopefully healthy and happy. I have to ask myself, where do I stand in that picture to ensure that nature is intertwined throughout that portrait? Similarly, we, as a community, we have to ask ourselves, where are we posed in that community portrait to ensure a future that is abundant and rich with nature? Thank you.